In 1942, the United States Navy was losing the Pacific War. Japanese forces had just crushed Pearl Harbor. They were advancing across the Pacific at terrifying speed. One more defeat could have pushed Hawaii, even Australia, out of the war. But in a quiet, windowless room in Hawaii, a handful of American cryptographers uncovered a secret. Not a weapon, not a spy, a code. A single broken message would change the course of the entire Pacific War and lead directly to one of the most decisive naval battles in human history. This is the true story of the Japanese naval code called JN-25 and how cracking it stopped the Empire of Japan at Midway. By early 1942, the Imperial Japanese Navy relied on an encrypted communication system known as JN-25. JN-25 was not a simple cipher. It was a codebook system containing over 30,000 code groups, each representing words, phrases, or military instructions. To make it even harder to break, Japan added a second layer of encryption, random numerical additives applied to each message. This meant that even if you captured the codebook, you still couldn't read the message. The system was considered unbreakable. But at Station HYPO, located at Pearl Harbor, US Navy cryptanalysts were slowly dismantling it. The team was led by Commander Joseph Rochefort, a brilliant but unconventional intelligence officer. By May 1942, Rochefort's group had partially broken JN-25, not fully but enough to identify patterns. They began intercepting repeated Japanese messages referring to a target called AF. No one knew what AF meant. Washington intelligence believed AF might be Port Moresby. Rochefort believed it was Midway Atoll. Midway was a tiny US outpost, just coral, runways, and fuel tanks, but it guarded the direct route to Hawaii. To prove his theory, Rochefort devised a risky test. Midway was ordered to broadcast an unencrypted radio message stating that its freshwater system had broken down. Within days, Japanese intercepts reported that AF is short on water. That was the confirmation. AF was Midway. Now the Americans knew the Japanese plan, an ambush designed to lure US aircraft carriers into destruction. Admiral Chester W. Nimitz, commander of the Pacific Fleet, made a bold decision. Instead of retreating, he set a trap. On June 4, 1942, 3 American aircraft carriers, USS Enterprise, USS Hornet, and the hastily repaired USS Yorktown, waited northeast of Midway. The Japanese fleet, led by Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, believed the US carriers were far away. They were wrong. When Japanese aircraft returned to their carriers to rearm, American dive bombers struck. Within minutes, 4 Japanese fleet carriers, Akagi, Kaga, Soryu, and Heryu, were destroyed. Japan lost its best pilots, its naval air power, and its strategic momentum. The Pacific War had turned. The irony is this: Japan never realized its code had been compromised. They believed Midway was lost to bad luck, poor timing, and fate. But the truth was quieter and far more devastating. A handful of analysts, armed with pencils, intercepted signals, and patience, had defeated the most powerful navy in Asia. Joseph Rochefort received no immediate recognition for his work. In fact, he was later sidelined by Washington politics. Only decades later was his role officially acknowledged. The lesson of the Pacific War is not just about ships and planes, it's about information. Because sometimes, history isn't decided on the battlefield, but in a room where someone understands the enemy better than the enemy understands themselves. And the secret code that was never supposed to be broken ended up deciding the fate of an entire ocean.